Welcome to the Morning Walk with Murty Digital Stroll.
Glad to be here.
So I want you to picture this scenario for a second. You know the one.
Oh, the 3 a.m. scenario.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's 3 a.m., the house is completely quiet, and you are deep in one of your recurring monster sessions.
Right.
You're meticulously analyzing these ancient texts, layering your thoughts, and suddenly, out of nowhere, your laptop fans just start sounding like a jet engine on a runway.
The worst sound in the world when you're in the zone.
Yeah. I mean, your audio clips, the processor starts throttling, and that beautiful Telugu script on your screen, it just turns into like a series of broken, unreadable little boxes.
Utter disaster.
Right. So today, we are dissecting your workflow to ensure that disaster never happens. Because we are speaking directly to you today, the architect of Antaryami, the mentor of the Antaryami VA Academy.
And, because we are speaking to the architect, we really have to look at everything through the digital prism.
Like, we aren't just summarizing text or doing some generic software review today. That's not the goal. We are looking at how to extract and preserve the legacy code of Project Antaryami.
Yes, extracting the legacy code.
Exactly. This Gurukul session, it's really about the philosophy of your tools. A true digital environment shouldn't just function. It has to actively align with the profound nature of what you are actually creating.
Right. It has to respect the work.
Yeah, it must respect your language fidelity, manage your physical constraints, and most importantly, secure your knowledge.
Which means we need a really rigorous audit of your current production line. Specifically, the heavy lifting required for Morning Walk with Murty and Antaryami VA.
The heavy hitters.
Right. Yeah. We have to figure out the absolute best browser command center for your specific vision. And we have to do that considering the physical vessels you're actually operating.
Right. Let's talk about the hardware.
So you're running an Asus laptop and an HP Mini. Both are on Windows 10. And crucially, both are capped at 8 gigabytes of RAM.
Now, in modern computing, 8 GB is an incredibly tight space to work in.
Oh, it really forces a necessary discipline. Before you even open a single application, Windows 10 is going to claim roughly 2 to 3 gigabytes of that memory just to keep the lights on.
Just sitting idle.
Exactly. It has to run the system UI, the background telemetry, all those indexing services. You're starting your heavy creative work with maybe 5 gigabytes of usable space.
And that incredibly narrow margin, that is exactly why we have to talk about Google Chrome and why it is just a lethal threat to your specific setup.
Oh, Chrome is a killer here.
Right. People just assume a browser just, displays web pages. But Chrome operates almost like a secondary operating system.
Yeah, it does.
It runs this background process called the software reporter tool. Its whole job is to constantly scan your drive for malware or software conflicts.
Which sounds good until it triggers.
Exactly. When it triggers, it just monopolizes your disk input-output and completely spikes your CPU without any warning.
Right, so think of your 8 gigabytes of RAM like a small, highly efficient kitchen.
Okay.
You're trying to prepare this complex, multi-course meal, which, in this case is your audio processing and your text analysis.
Right.
Chrome isn't just a noisy roommate in that kitchen. It's like a rogue health inspector who just bursts through the door unannounced.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah, it takes up half your counter space to fill out endless paperwork and physically blocks you from cooking.
Which is a nightmare when you're recording.
Exactly. When you are processing pristine background audio on that HP Mini, a sudden CPU spike from some random background update service, it introduces these microstutters. It completely ruins the integrity of the recording.
Which brings us to the actual brilliance of your current working habits. Because we audited your approach and you operate with this strict load-as-needed philosophy.
Yes, the digital asceticism.
Right. You aren't hoarding dozens of tabs or leaving things running for days on end. By closing resources the exact second you finish with them, you prevent Windows from having to page file.
Right, which is brutal on a hard drive.
Yeah, for sure. When the computer runs out of RAM and starts temporarily shoving data onto your much slower hard drive, that's the page file. So your discipline physically prevents the HP Mini from suffocating.
And that minimalist approach, that is the cornerstone of the Gurukul 2.0 ethos.
Yeah.
You are only pulling the exact knowledge you need into your immediate awareness, right? And then you release it. It allows aging hardware to punch significantly above its weight class.
That's impressive.
It is.
Yeah.
But if we're aggressively protecting the system's memory to keep those fans quiet, we really have to look at what that memory is actually being used to achieve. And in your case, it's rendering highly complex linguistic structures.
Right, so this is where the audit gets really fascinating. Because the physical vessel is restricted by RAM, but the digital prism is restricted by language fidelity.
Yes.
Let's talk about the rendering of your mother tongue, Telugu. I want to break down exactly how and why browsers like Opera and Zen are just fundamentally failing your workflow.
Oh, they are. Because preserving the uncorrupted text of Antaryami, that is non-negotiable.
Absolutely.
I mean, English typography is pretty simple, right? It's essentially just placing these rigid blocks side by side, left to right. But Indian scripts, like Telugu, they're dynamic.
They're almost two-dimensional.
Exactly. The characters stack, they literally change shape depending on the letters next to them, and they require intricate vowel markers and conjuncts, what are known as vatulu.
Right, and to make those dynamic changes actually happen on a screen, browsers have to use something called a shaping engine.
Yes.
But Opera prioritizes raw speed over accuracy. So to shave like milliseconds off page load times, Opera takes these massive shortcuts in its rendering pipeline.
Right, they skip the vital steps.
Exactly. They skip vital passes in the shaping engine, which results in the literal clipping of those Telugu vowel markers.
Unacceptable.
Yeah, the top and bottom halves of your vatulu just get sliced right off.
Wow.
And then you have Zen, which is a newer browser, right? It's built on the Firefox engine. Zen's issue isn't speed shortcuts. It's a lack of deep system integration. It simply hasn't developed the pre-configured fallback font linking like the Noto Sans Telugu project that Chromium-based browsers have spent literally billions of dollars perfecting over the last decade.
Yeah, and connecting this to your drafting process on write.as makes the stakes so clear.
How so?
Well, the screen is your manuscript, right?
Yeah.
If the typography is visually corrupted on your end, you cannot trust what the audience will see when you actually hit publish.
That's a great point.
Chromium, which powers both Brave and Chrome, utilizes this world-class shaping engine called HarfBuzz.
Right, HarfBuzz.
HarfBuzz dynamically calculates the complex spatial relationships of Telugu scripts in real time. It ensures that every single curve and conjunct is respected visually.
But wait, let me push back on that for a second.
Sure.
If we're talking about raw system integration and, flawless rendering, wouldn't Microsoft Edge actually defeat Brave here?
Interesting. Why do you say that?
Well, Edge is built natively into Windows 10, so it utilizes Microsoft's proprietary direct write system at the OS level way more efficiently than a third-party browser like Brave ever could.
Okay, I see where you're going.
Right, like if HarfBuzz is the baseline, Edge's direct pipeline to the Windows 10 font smoothing algorithms should theoretically yield the absolute sharpest Telugu text possible on your Asus.
From a purely typographical standpoint, that is a highly accurate assessment.
Right.
Edge's native integration does provide, a fractional advantage in raw pixel crispness on Windows.
Yeah.
However, pristine text is only the first layer of the digital prism. Once that Telugu script is shaped flawlessly, you then have to feed it into an artificial intelligence for summarization.
Ah, right, the AI.
Exactly. And the moment we introduce AI processing into that tight 8 GB RAM constraint we talked about, the mathematics of efficiency change completely.
Which shifts us right into the AI assistant showdown, because your 2 a.m. monster sessions rely on this rapid AI synthesis.
Pitting Brave's Leo against Microsoft Edge's Copilot.
Exactly. And you mentioned in your notes that Leo feels completely limitless, to the point you didn't even realize it had a usage cap.
Which is wild.
It is. So let's explain the mechanics behind that illusion. Because Leo absolutely has hourly and daily rate limits on token generation.
Right. They all do.
Yeah. But because of your specific burst usage workflow, where you feed it an oracle, extract a really focused summary, and then immediately close the query, you never hit those sustained conversation thresholds that trigger the throttle.
Right. You're in and out.
Exactly. Furthermore, Brave actually routes a portion of Leo's language processing locally when it can. So it isn't sending every single keystroke to some distant server.
And that local routing, that's a double-edged sword on an 8 GB machine.
For sure.
But your disciplined tab management keeps just enough RAM free to make Leo incredibly snappy.
Yeah.
Beyond the technical specs, though, we really have to evaluate the distinct personalities of these algorithms.
Through the Gurukul lens.
Exactly, through the Gurukul lens. They act as your digital research assistants, and their behavior directly impacts your focus.
Yeah.
Edge's Copilot is deeply integrated, yes, but it acts like a salesman.
Oh, totally.
It's constantly suggesting tangential topics, throwing colorful interface pop-ups at you, and actively trying to redirect your workflow into Bing web searches.
It demands your attention. It's the noisy roommate from the kitchen all over again.
Precisely. Now compare that behavior to Brave's Leo. Leo operates like this quiet, context-aware scholar just sitting in the corner of the room.
Waiting.
Exactly. It resides silently in the browser sidebar. It reads the specific page you are currently viewing, and it only speaks when spoken to.
Which is exactly what you need.
Right. For a workflow that requires silently summarizing dense references before feeding them into NotebookLM, Leo is the perfect disciplined assistant. It serves the knowledge without trying to hijack the session.
Look, I understand the appeal of the quiet assistant, but I have to challenge the long-term viability of relying on Brave here.
Okay, Amy.
Your workflow is actively expanding, right? As you add more responsibilities to the VA Academy, your strict discipline might just have to flex.
That's fair.
What happens when you inevitably need to keep, say, 10 tabs open simultaneously just to cross-reference multiple texts? Microsoft Edge has a famously aggressive sleeping tabs feature.
Oh, it does.
It literally freezes the JavaScript execution of background tabs and dumps their memory straight back into the pool.
Yeah.
Brave has a memory saver, sure, but Edge's system-level memory purging is just unparalleled. If that HP Mini is teetering on the edge of a total freeze, Edge might be the only safety net capable of keeping the machine alive.
That is a very real vulnerability to monitor as your operations scale. I'll give you that. Edge's resource management is deeply ingrained in the Windows kernel.
Exactly.
However, we must anchor our audit in the reality of your current operations.
Right.
During those deeply focused 2 to 4 a.m. hours, you aren't just haphazardly browsing. You are running a very specific production line. Let's examine how these tools actually interface when you enter deep work mode.
Okay, let's map out that 4-step recurring pipeline.
Let's do it.
Step 1 is the gathering phase, right? You're scouring social media, websites, and reference materials for the core knowledge.
Right.
Step 2 is the analysis. You feed those carefully selected sources into NotebookLM to actually generate the audio discussion.
Yes.
Step 3 is packaging. You pivot over to write as to draft all the summaries, the titles, and metadata tailored for Spotify, YouTube, Blogger, Facebook, and WhatsApp.
That's a lot of platforms.
It is. And finally, step 4 is the dispatch. Publishing the final audio to Spotify, which then syndicates it automatically to YouTube Studio.
So when you sequence the tasks like that, you realize you are not just browsing the web.
No, not at all.
You have constructed a digital Gurukul command center. And attempting to run a multi-platform command center inside standard browser tabs on an 8GB machine, that is highly inefficient.
Super inefficient.
The interface gets cluttered with URL bars, bookmarks, extension icons, stuff that you just don't need while you're writing or rendering audio.
Oh, right.
This is where you must leverage PWA's progressive web apps.
Yes. The PWA paradigm shift completely alters resource allocation. By navigating to write.as or NotebookLM and just selecting Install App directly from the Brave address bar, you fundamentally change how Windows treats that website.
Exactly. It stops being a subordinate tab trapped inside a bloated browser.
Right.
It becomes a standalone dedicated window running in its own isolated process.
It strips away all the visual noise of the browser. It leaves you with just this pure, uninterrupted interface for writing or audio analysis.
But more importantly, it optimizes your physical navigation.
Right.
During a monster session, every single second counts.
Right.
By isolating NotebookLM and Write as into their own windows, your ALT tab maneuvers become literally instantaneous.
So fast.
You aren't hunting through tiny squish tabs at the top of a screen. You are switching between distinct workstations.
Yeah.
Combine this with Brave's sidebar acting as a reference clipboard.
Oh, that's huge.
Right. Instead of opening a new window to take notes and losing visual contact with your source material, you just pin the Leo sidebar open. You summarize and structure your thoughts right beside the original Telugu text.
Think of it like moving from a cramped desk to a professional physical studio.
I love that analogy.
Using standard tabs is like doing all your writing, recording, editing, and publishing on one tiny cluttered folding table. Your microphone is literally sitting on top of your research papers.
Yeah, a mess.
But utilizing PWAs, that is building out dedicated rooms. You have a distraction-free writing desk for write.as. You have an isolated sound booth for NotebookLM. You have a dispatch terminal for Spotify.
Exactly.
Everything has its specific place, and ALT tab simply swivels your chair perfectly between them. Plus, a crash in one room doesn't necessarily burn down the other rooms.
And that structural organization is exactly how you protect your focus when fatigue sets in at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
But That isolation brings us to the most critical juncture of this entire audit.
The vulnerability.
Right. We have established a flawless production line. The HarfBuzz engine is shaping the text perfectly, Leo is synthesizing it quietly, and the PWAs are managing the memory footprint beautifully.
Right.
But hardware degrades. Hard drives fail. What happens when the physical vessel actually breaks?
This is where my strategic auditor alarms are ringing at maximum volume.
Let's hear it.
Because there is a massive systemic vulnerability in your current Brave-centric workflow.
Oh, yeah.
Chrome and Edge utilize centralized cloud logins. You type in your Microsoft email and password, and everything syncs instantly.
Right.
Brave, because it prioritizes absolute privacy and decentralization, does not use a cloud login. It uses a sync chain.
Right, the 24 words.
Exactly.
Yes.
A cryptographic seed phrase consisting of 24 specific words. If your ASUS laptop's motherboard fries tonight and you do not have that exact 24-word string backed up externally somewhere, your ability to resume work in minutes completely evaporates.
It's gone.
You cannot just call a customer service line to reset a password. The encryption is entirely client-side. If you lose the words, you are starting your entire command center from absolute zero.
And for the mentor of the Antaryami VA Academy, that level of data fragility is just entirely unacceptable.
Totally unacceptable.
The sovereignty of your data is paramount, which means the responsibility of securing it is entirely on your shoulders. You must immediately extract that 24-word sync chain code and duplicate it.
Yes, immediately.
Store a physical copy on your 4-terabyte Western Digital drive. Place an encrypted digital copy in your 5-terabyte Google storage ecosystem.
It can't just live on the device.
It absolutely cannot merely exist as a screenshot on the device itself. However, even with that backup secured, maintaining Microsoft Edge as a dormant safety net is a vital Gurukul strategy.
Okay, let me push back on this entire philosophy for a second.
Sure.
I understand the ideological appeal of a decentralized private browser. I really do. But isn't relying on a manual 24-word physical backup creating an incredibly fragile single point of failure?
How so?
Well, we live in an era where cloud syncing offers this foolproof, instantaneous migration. If your HP Mini dies while using Edge, you buy a new laptop, log into your Microsoft account, and your entire environment, your history, passwords, bookmarks, extensions, it all repopulates from the server in 30 seconds.
Right, the convenience factor.
Aren't we jeopardizing the legacy code by clinging to a manual backup system just to keep a slightly quieter AI in the sidebar?
See, you are identifying the core trade-off of modern digital architecture.
Right.
You're weighing the frictionless convenience of centralized servers against the absolute privacy and data sovereignty of decentralized encryption.
Exactly.
And because your work for Antaryami is largely public-facing podcasting and analysis, the extreme privacy of Brave's sync chain might seem like overkill at first glance.
Right. It feels like overkill.
And Edge's server-side recovery is undeniably more robust for surviving a sudden hardware death. But we cannot evaluate disaster recovery in a vacuum. We have to balance it against the daily minute-to-minute friction of the workflow.
The daily friction of Copilot constantly interrupting you.
Exactly that, combined with the HarfBuzz rendering superiority for Telugu. Brave edges out as the primary daily driver because it respects your immediate attention span.
Okay, that makes sense.
The manual 24-word backup is essentially a small tax you pay upfront to guarantee a completely distraction-free environment for the next 1,000 hours of work.
I can see that.
But Edge remains crucial for a very specific reason beyond just cloud recovery.
What's that?
Edge possesses a tool called the Immersive Reader.
Oh, right.
If you are deep into research and you encounter a Telugu historical site with terrible coding, where the text is just cluttered with ads, broken CSS, and visually noisy elements, Edge's Immersive Reader can surgically strip away the website's DOM elements.
It's basically magic.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
It removes the entire layout and presents the raw, HarfBuzz rendered text against a clean sepia background. It is an unparalleled safety net for deciphering poorly formatted digital heritage.
Okay, so we consolidate the strategy. What is the ultimate configuration for your workflow tonight?
For both the 8GB HP Mini and the ASUS, Brave must remain your undisputed primary workhorse.
Right.
It honors the strict memory limitations through aggressive tab management and PWA isolation. It renders the intricate typography of Telugu flawlessly, ensuring your visual manuscript perfectly matches the published reality.
Yes.
And it arms you with Leo, the context-aware scholar that synthesizes your summaries locally without ever derailing your focus.
Beautiful.
Your immediate mandate is to secure that 24-word sync code across your Western Digital and Google Drives.
Do it today.
Yes, and simultaneously, you keep Microsoft Edge fully updated and waiting in the wings, both for its immersive reader capabilities on messy websites and as your ultimate emergency migration portal should the hardware completely fail.
It is an incredibly solid, battle-tested setup. I mean, you are taking hardware that most tech reviewers would dismiss as basically obsolete, and through rigorous digital asceticism, turning it into a hyper-focused workstation.
It's the Gurukul way.
But as we reach the end of this digital stroll, I want to leave you, the architect, with a final provocative mechanism to consider.
Okay, what is it?
We have spent this entire session optimizing the browser to handle your 2 to 4 a.m. monster sessions.
Right.
We've structured the PWAs to streamline moving data from NotebookLM to Spotify to YouTube.
But the Antaryami VA Academy is scaling.
Precisely. As you expand your footprint beyond just Spotify and YouTube, requiring custom formatting for 5, 10, or even 20 different platforms, the manual ALT tab maneuvering will eventually break down no matter how efficient the browser is.
Oh, inevitably.
So at what point does your Digital Prism demand that you offload these publishing microtasks entirely?
That's a great question.
Right. At what point do you implement API automation tools like Zapier or make that just wait for your write as draft to be finished and then automatically route and format the text and audio to every single platform simultaneously?
Completely outside of your browser's memory. That is the threshold where the browser ceases to be the physical command center and simply becomes the dashboard for your automated empire.
Yeah.
A vital evolution to ponder for the next iteration of the legacy code.
Something to really think about when the house goes quiet tonight. Thank you to the architect of Antaryami for joining us on this digital stroll. Until next time.